What's up, guys? Take two. Get your audio receptors ready. We're going to dig in. Today we're doing streaking. So everybody get ready. Get in a streaking ready outfit and let's begin. We're starting with the rain marks. The rain marks mixture for me is going to be Naples Yellow Light and maybe a gray or a brown. No idea what I have here. Something like that. It's going to be very faint anyhow. It's not the darkest, most opaque color in the world, so just aim for something kind of in the dirty white to very light gray kind of area. And you should have something approximate. And there are some other mixtures pre-made if you don't feel confident in your mixing, and you can get one of those and do the exact same thing. This technique is very simple. It's really easy to do and it's really fun. And when I first, why do I always talk about the first time? The 7th time I ever did streaking, I was like, this is awesome. I really enjoy doing this, and it just adds so much to the model. It gives you a lot of that tonal variation. Can't even say that. So it's very, very useful for what we want to do. I'm going to be transitioning to a different color, and you can do this multiple times. Eventually, probably depending on how faint you go, you can, get several layers over there. You could keep going. You could do it indefinitely. It's really up to you. Me personally, on this one, we were going for maybe a couple layers of streaking to sort of demonstrate how to do it and also how to layer those up. So the first layer is simulating the rain. The second layer is going to be simulating something more like grime or rust or whatever. And there are all those accompanying colors released by some of our more favorite manufacturers. These days, again, I tend to mix my own colors, so it's always up to you however you want to do it. I'm going through here and I'm just cleaning up. The initial part is applying the streak, and in between I've cut a lot of it out. I'm using a hair dryer. I don't know why I felt compelled to. I think I started to feel the pressure of time, so I started to use the hair dryer more. And it's not going to really speed up the curing of the oil paint, but what it will do is speed up the evaporation of the solvent. When the solvent's not there, you can streak the oil paint. It's going to have a bit more grip. It's going to be a bit, tougher to blend, but it's going to give you maybe a slightly nicer feather, so to speak. A little bit more of the oil paint will be left behind. So here's this is like your generic streaking type color. This color I tried to match. I don't have a bottle of it, but I used to. I was trying to match the ammo streaking color, which is like this really nice purpley brownish color. So my mix is ultramarine blue, I think a type of Winsor & Newton red. It's just like, it's very generic. It's like called permanent red or light red or something like that. It's not cadmium or anything like that. And a green, probably a sap green. And the purpose of the green is to kind of tone it towards brown. When you add that into that mixture, it's going to desaturate a little and tone that color down, because otherwise it'd just be purple, and that would probably work on some stuff, but I was aiming for that purpley brown, and it was close enough for me, so I was pretty happy with it as a color, and I think it works pretty well over the blue, so we'll call that one a success. One of the things that I wanted to bring up, so before, it's the exact same. I'm going through the same pattern that I did with the last voiceover. So at some point, you're going to see that I'm no longer doing streaking. I'm kind of just doing a little bit of everything. And that's kind of actually my normal methodology. When I was doing this video in particular, I was trying to kind of keep things in each in their little box or in their little category. So I would film for X amount of time, turn it off, keep going, continue the process, maybe go back to my normal chaotic ways, and then when I was ready for the next one, I would do that. But on this one, I think all bets were off. I was like, okay, we're near the end. I mean, we're in extra innings now. You could have long stopped doing what I'm continuing to do, and you would have had a really nice outcome. But like, as I said at the beginning, at the outset, the purpose was to go all the way, to go super hard, and to throw every technique I could mostly think of at this thing. So the streaking, usually you want to do it like later on in the weathering process, because you definitely want those, depending on how clear you want the streaks, you're gonna need to do it later on. If you cover it up with all the other stuff, you know, you're gonna get they're gonna be more subtle. So maybe if that's what you want, maybe that's the kind of process you do. That's the order you do it in. And as you become more experienced, you can kind of play with that. You can be like, okay, I'm gonna bury my streaks a little more, or I'm gonna have them right at the very end. Maybe it's been sitting for a while, because really, if the streaks were on top of everything else, that probably means it's been just sitting for a while. So bear that in mind. This one stays towards the surface, towards the top. I do flick some mud and stuff over this, but they're pretty close to the exterior. And again, you could always just layer over more stuff. So there's a lot of flexibility, and there's no real one way of doing things. There's a zillion ways of doing things. It's however you want to do it, you know. So with some guidelines and with some technique, you can just kind of, I don't know, go crazy, let it rip. So the final thing, the final message is a month or two ago, I was listening to an artist named Alpe Efe. He's just a YouTube artist. Well, he's more than that, but I know him as a YouTube artist. And he brought up something called the Pareto principle. And that is that 20% of what you do results in 80% of the effect. And maybe for me, it would be 80% of the time that I waste on the same area of a model only leads to 20% of the results. And so the way to think about it, and the way that I want to think about it, is that I want to do each technique with a high level of proficiency, and then move around, keep moving. Am I not recording? Oh my goodness. All right, so in a brilliant double cross of myself, I actually was recording. So what I was saying is that when I'm doing what I'm doing, often I end up getting bogged down in one area. And I know this is not the first time that I've said it as we've gone through the process. And that's something I continually remind myself, is keep moving. Do what you're doing and then move on. Reason being, you can layer and layer and layer, and oil paint will teach you this, if nothing else. You can only layer up so much oil paint in a given session. You have to learn to kind of manage your effort. And that's something I'm actually getting a little bit better with as I go on. I'm getting better at pacing myself. So a lot of times I give myself a day between stages or a day between steps, and I have something else I need to do, or I keep the model in separate pieces, or I have two different models and I'm like, okay, over here I'm priming today, over there I'm varnishing that day, over here I'm oil paint weathering on the right side, and then tomorrow I'll get to the other side. And so it keeps me flowing. It kept me flowing around this model. And also, like I said, the deadline really helps. So, you know, I mean, those are things those are kind of mental games you can play with yourself to maybe give yourself momentum if you've lost momentum. Obviously, everybody who's found this channel is highly motivated, you know, self-starter type. But just in case anybody out there is like me, then, you know, maybe that's something to think about. And it's absolutely something I want to incorporate. So the 80-20 rule. One final thing, I realized in the oil paint weathering episode, I was like, oil paint is good for 2 reasons, and I'll discuss it in a minute. And then I never say it again because I got sidetracked as usual. And I don't write any of this stuff down. This is all, can you believe that this is just, yeah, I know. Yeah, we believe it. We believe it, they say. Please write some of it down. So anyways, what we're doing with it is that we're doing, the oil paint serves 2 purposes. Purpose number 1, provide weathering. That's like definitely like the primary, or 51% of the effect. The other 49% is we're going to be doing, I guess, rendering or modulation. We're going to be enhancing contrast in particular areas. And then we're also going to be adding shadow in other areas. So it's like it's another way to review or add to the process of the painting that we started. And so as we go around the model, we say, okay, this needs more, this needs less. Here's a place I can introduce some color, and also you can add tonal variation. So guess what? I discovered a third thing that it's going to do. It's going to create interest, tonal variation. So it's giving us a lot of different effects. It's definitely the focal of this model. It's the centerpiece of the weathering, but it doesn't have to be. And you can just do a little bit here or there. You can just, keep it kind of limited. And really that's a challenge also that I want to set for myself, is maybe on an upcoming model, try to do the absolute bare minimum of weathering, but still come up with an interesting finish. And for me, I don't know if that'd be particularly interesting. I mean, I don't usually use it to hide flaws. And, God knows there's a ton on this one, but I've never thought of it that way. And I guess some people can see it as a bit of a crutch. So for me, it's definitely an artistic crutch, but I don't know if it's like a building crutch. Oh, it's a crutch. Crutch is a crutch, right? So yeah, in conclusion, that's the way I ended, I think, every single one of my essays in 6th grade. In conclusion, I'm really glad that everybody's has come here, and if you made it this far, I appreciate you sticking around, and I hope that you're getting something out of it. For me, it's been so much fun. I mean, now that I know that I'm close. I'm happy. I'm coming back to the videos, and yeah, it's been an experience, man. I'll talk to you soon.